Hey kids, before we start this video, I want to give a shout out to one of my friends who provided the gameplay footage for this video. And now let's just get right into it. Hey kids, and welcome to another rocking video! The news, I've noticed, seems to really hate video games. Like, no joke. One of the clips I'm about to show you literally says that video games are responsible for the alt-right. I'm not making this up. I wish I was. I mean, what the hell? You're not... America's trusted news stations like NBC and Fox, they're not supposed to make such stupid statements, yet they do, every single time. I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with a news segment that literally said that video games are slowly but surely corrupting the communist states of the world. This is why gamers are the most oppressed minority. So now we're going to get into the diseases that await us. So sit back, relax, grab your ravioli cans and hammer and sickles, and let's get right into the news.
And a lot of that organizing happened through a messaging service called Discord, which was originally created to connect video game players to one another. This is just the latest in the long-running shared history between the gaming community and the alt-right.
Gaming culture has always been racist, it's always been sexist, but the internet has sort of allowed us to just sort of see what has always been there.
Come on, don't you think it's a little bit of a stretch to say video games have always been sexist and racist? Yeah, Super Mario Brothers, definitely racist. Oh, Sonic the Hedgehog definitely hates women. Oh, yeah, that makes so much sense.
When you were studying Gamergate and you were really looking at the techniques that they use, it's impossible not to see the same techniques being used by Trump supporters.
Why is it that the news seems to always equate Donald Trump and Pepe the Frog with racism? Seriously, it's a frog and a presidential candidate.
So, what happens when these behaviors move from the gaming world to the real world? Keegan Hanks studies the progression of the alt-right on the web.
Discord, as a platform, kind of had a meteoric rise in the alt-right. I think many of the members of the alt-right were actually aware of it because they were also members of the video game community. Many of them are. Discord became almost a requirement for a lot of these people if you wanted to be actively involved in the movement.
Discord is anonymous and lightly monitored, which allowed the alt-right to control communications and access for thousands of users. Some Discord servers controlled by alt-right leaders made users post pictures of their Caucasian skin in order to participate. This allowed the alt-right to centralize its message and disseminate information around the Charlottesville rallies. Discord service played a substantial role in fomenting the riots that led to the death of Heather Heyer.
This is a pretty poor connection. I seriously doubt that video games caused Charlottesville. The next one, it's hosted by probably your most generic news reporter possible. Come on, just bring in Mr. Shrek. We can all agree he's definitely a better news reporter. Right, guys? Like if you think Mr. Shrek is a better news reporter than her. You know it, my homie, I'm definitely a better news reporter than them. Hell, I'm pretty sure Adolf Hitler probably would be a better news reporter. Ja, Kaiser, he's an asshole.
Keeping them honest now on the notion that gun violence has more to do with video game weapons than real ones. Vice President Biden met today with representatives from the video gaming industry. The Newtown killer was reportedly obsessed with violent games, as other killers have been, of course. And people are concerned that bloody games, gory movies, brutal TV shows are doing bad things to our kids. So you can see why culture would be part of the conversation about preventing another Sandy Hook. Now,
I have the solution. It may be a mind-blowing idea that you may have never thought of. But maybe, don't give kids mature video games.
Former FBI profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole joins us now. She's the author of Dangerous Instincts, Use an FBI Profiler's Tactics to Avoid Unsafe Situations. So, Mary Ellen, you actually think there is a link between violent games and violence. How so?
If you think there is a link between video games and real-life violence, I legitimately think you should be fired from your job.
I do. For a small group of troubled adolescents or young men, in my experience with these kinds of cases and in my research as an FBI profiler, I have found that there's not a cause and effect. They did not cause violence, but for these young people who were already contemplating carrying out acts of violence or acting out towards others in a violent way, these videos and very violent websites and violent movies can actually fuel what's already there. And in doing that, it can help them desensitize to acting out violently. It really erodes away at their sense of empathy, at their sense of compassion, and it really turns human beings into objects. But again, it's for this small group of people already considering acting out violently.
Which group were you talking about? Oh, wait, yeah, it's that one group that doesn't exist. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, never mind. I shouldn't have criticized you.
No silver bullet when it comes to curtailing gun violence, no seatbelt you can put on. There are, however, plenty of steps you could take. Now, the question being which ones work, and as always, which ones, if any, will Congress actually agree on? A number of otherwise hardline NRA supporters have recently signaled their openness to regulating high-capacity magazines, but not, however, military-style rifles. With me now, two New York Times columnists, liberal Charles Blow and conservative Ross Douthat. I appreciate both of you being with us. Ross, this focus on video games, does it feel like it might be more of a stand-in for the bigger debate between people who think the biggest problem is that criminals can get their hands on deadly weapons and others who think the problem is actually a culture that produces those criminals?
Well, I think in the case of Joe Biden and his task force, it's a situation where they're trying to give the impression that they're sort of covering all the cultural bases, right? And I think obviously the most polarizing debate we're having right now is about guns, and there's sort of I feel like there's almost a general consensus on the video game question where a lot of people would agree with the profiler you just had on and say it's not surprising to see an association in particular cases between video games and violence, but that doesn't mean that in the aggregate the spread of violent video games are causing murder rates to go up, because pretty obviously they're not, neither here nor around the world.
What's this? A reasonable person? It's a miracle. It is truly a miracle.
Up next, the student accused of opening fire at a California high school. Tonight, how a teacher stepped...
Here we go again. Am I the only one who has noticed that the news seems to like blaming things on everything else? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if World War III started, and then all of a sudden they started blaming it on straight white men, and then all of a sudden like a army of liberals started backing them. If you give the video a like, I will send each and every one of you a demon that has recently escaped the body of a small child. I will send you the video of the demon being released from said child.
Idiots!
Also subscribe with notifications on. Don't forget the notifications! That'd be pretty cool. It would be cool to become a large YouTuber, wouldn't it?
Do you know the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man? Do you know the Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane?
Leafy's here 2.0, anyone?